Hey guys, it's Wendy here with Wendy's Plans, and today is Sunday Journal, and I thought I would show you a couple of things that I picked up and tell you what I'm going to be doing for December. So, guys, stick around. Alrighty, so guys, I'm gonna be truthful. Was in the middle of all of my filming, and I didn't want to change cameras and all of that. So I don't know how good this footage is gonna be, but I am just using the camera on my laptop. So guys, it may not be the same quality that you're used to getting, but sometimes when the notion strikes, you just have to go for it. So I am in my office. I know I look like I'm in a corner, but it's because that's where my desk used to be. And it went this way and this way. And I gave that desk to Christopher and Emma because I've been getting rid of everything to start traveling. So I'm in a different setup. I'm trying to figure out the lighting and all of that stuff, guys. So bear with me. So my glasses look like they're crooked on my face. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I went to Barnes and Nobles this week because I was online and saw a book that I felt like I needed. I'm going to show you the book. It's huge. It's called Atlas Obscura. And the thing about this is that this one is revised and updated. And it doesn't matter. This is the second edition. I don't have the first edition. I had not seen it until I was doing some research online for my traveling. And this book gives you I've been at one page and I saw the tree goats of Morocco. Who knew? But it gives you kind of crazy things, not crazy things that you normally wouldn't go to look for when you were traveling because you probably didn't know about them. And I'm trying to find North Carolina because that's where I'm from and see what is in North Carolina and see if I even knew it was here. But this book allows you to, let's see, I am East Coast. Great Plains, Midwest, Southeast, that's us. 344. So it gives you places like, sometimes I think I would love to travel and which everybody knows that. But I want to stop off at this. I want to see these signs that say world's largest ball of twine or whatever. And I want to stop and I want to see those places. I don't know why. So this book gives you kind of those things. I'm looking for North Carolina. I have found my section of the country. Just North Carolina. I did know that. Um, okay, there's two things listed for North Carolina. Okay, so it's the Stanley Raider Carnivorous Plant Garden. And if y'all didn't know, the only place you can find Venus flytraps is in North Carolina. And it is in Wilmington. They grow really prolific here. Now, I don't know if we are the only place that grows them in North Carolina, but they are pretty much, they come from here. They're very cool plants if you've not seen them. But that is the thing for North Carolina, one of the things. The second one is the Devil's Tramping Ground. I think I remember this from school, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you where it was. But this is in Siler City. North Carolina, which is, I think, Chatham County. And so it gives you things like that, things that you would never, who knew? Who knew? Another one that I want to look at is really quirky as it sounds. Is I saw it when I was turning. Is let's see. Okay, so what city is this in? So in Florida, there is a watchy mermaids show. I know. These are the things that I want to see, guys. I just, I think they're just very fun. Um, I just think there's like every state has these things, and this book gives you some information about that. And so I can still go on their website. They have a lot of things, and this is not just the United States. So you can pick out things like the goat tree in Morocco. So it's things like that that you can see, and that's some of the things I want to be able to stop on the side of the road and, just get a chuckle, and you know, it would be fun. So I went in to get that, and I got it. And then as I was standing there looking at things, I found this one, and it's called the Road Trip Journal and Activity Book. Okay. Now, one of the pages in this book tells you like the world's largest office chair is in Alabama. Guys, I'm going to tell you, my first location that I thought I was going to go to, and I was really planning it, and I had found an Airbnb and the whole thing. When reality set into me, I needed to stay closer to home the first 2 months to get everything done once I moved out of my apartment. I was going to Alabama. I wouldn't have known that they had the world's largest office chair. Wouldn't have known. But now I do, because it gives you all of that stuff. I'm looking to see if they've got something else for North Carolina in here. New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina. World's largest chest of drawers. That would have to be High Point, because High Point is like the furniture capital. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just crazy. Let's see what else. And this goes into Canada also. And it has the world's largest ball of twine. It's in Kansas. Didn't know that. Let's see what else is in here. World's largest cherry pie is in Michigan. Martha, if you're watching, have you been to the world's largest cherry pie? Because if you haven't, when I get there, we're going to go. Martha is my sister. So guys, this also has like different games that you can play, and like how many drop license plates did you see while you were traveling? You can track those down. Let's see. Road trip rituals. I love this one. And this is something you do, and you can add your own things to it. You do every road trip you go on. So for me, it would be when I leave one location going to the next location. Take a photo in the same pose everywhere you go. That would be fun. Watch a movie featuring the destination on the first night. I don't know if I can find a movie for all that. Guys, I don't watch stuff. Print photo albums after your trip. That would be fun. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to be able to take them with me. Start each day with a car selfie. I'll definitely love to do that one. Pick one chain to stop at every time you need gas. That would be fun. End each night with a refreshing drink by the hotel pool. Well, I'm not going to be in a hotel, but I can do something else. Guys, I'm just going to tell you. things keep popping up on my screen when I'm filming. I don't know why. I don't know where they're coming from. Um, but I need to figure this out because I was filming a video and balloons started falling down and I had to cut those out of my footage. So if y'all see weird things in my, I'm going to figure out what it is. Okay. Don't know what it is yet. But anyway, these are some of the things. And so I thought on here too is that I would do when I cross the state line, if there's any way to stop and get a picture at the state line, I want to do that. I mean, some state signs you really can't do that. It's just not going to be allowed. So whatever. So there's so many things in here. I just flipped over to this one. It's the compliment game. Play a sweet round of the compliment game. Go through the alphabet and use each letter to form a compliment for one of your friends. A is for Heather's adventurous attitude. B is for Shayna's beautiful belt, and so on. There's not going to be very many people traveling with me. Once in a while there will be, but you know, there you go. That's something that you can do. But there's so many things in here that you can do, and I just think that's so much fun. That'll be fun. I can't wait. So I'm going to use this to kind of lighten the mood and give me something to do while I'm on the road. So that's, you know, my little things that I got this week. I had her straighten my hair when I'm all over the place. When I got my hair done on Friday, and it keeps getting my face, but I do like it better when it's straightened. Next, so Wendy has been crazy reading on her Kindle. So it popped an idea in my brain. Is I set a goal on Goodreads that I was going to do 50 books this year. I have read 23, I think is my total count. And that means I have some work to do. But for whatever reason, Saturday and Sunday, I picked up my Kindle. I have not put it down, guys. And I know I have been in spells before that I didn't read. I think this is the longest spell that I have had that I really have not read a book that I didn't at some point during the day physically read and not just listening to Audible. But I got in the mood and I started reading, and I have read 9 books in the last week. Some of them were big, some of them were a little smaller, but they average, I mean, decent sized books, which means I haven't gotten anything else done. So my goal is to finish a book every day this month. Now, yesterday I finished a book, and I finished up the book I was reading the day before, and then I finished another whole book because I read at the hairdresser's. I read when I got home. I stayed up too late to finish the book, but I got it finished and started the first couple of chapters of a new book. Now, the series that I'm reading, I don't even know the name of it because that's the thing with me when I'm on Kindle. I don't pay attention to the names of the books very often. It was Montana Dangerous, and according to my Kindle, I'm on page 53 of 302 pages. However, I'm at 17% of the book. So I don't go by pages in my Kindle. But it says This is book 3 of 8 in the Resting Warrior Ranch series. It just popped up in my feed. And typical time to read is 6 hours and 2 minutes. That's at my reading speed that I have been doing. It says 302 pages. I don't know how many pages is in this book because I blow up my font big so I don't have to wear my glasses. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is some of them are good sized books, some of them are smaller. If I just sit down and read, guys, I can knock out a book. I read fairly fast. And if it's a book that I really like, I really go through it really quickly. So, my goal this week or this month is to read at least one book a day. And that means I can finish up a book, start a book, and finish it as long as I finish it today. So if I start, if I finish a book, period, that's going to count as a book being finished. So if I'm finishing up one today from yesterday, and I finished up one yesterday and started this one, I know this is so confusing, then I have finished up a book every day. And so I'm not saying that once I finish a book, I'm not going to work on another book, because there's no way I could finish a complete book, because some, like I said, some books are going to have more pages than others. So if I finish, I'm going to start another one because I want to be able to get ahead. And so my goal is to at least finish one complete book a day. And if I do that at the end of the month, I'm going to have 50 books read. Now, in the past, I have set goals of, I think my first goal was 75 books or 50, and I finished more. And then so the next year I set a higher goal and a higher goal. I think the last one that I completed was 100 books, and I ended up reading 100 and almost 120 books for the year. And then I set a goal of 125 books. I did not make it 10 books because all of a sudden I was doing Audible all the time, because I could do Audible at work. I could do it in the car. I could do it while I worked around the house. I just went to Audible. And so I'm at the point that I really want to get back into reading. And I know when I start traveling, a lot of my time is going to be in the car getting from one place to the next. And I'm going to listen to Audible. But I want to, when I get there, relax. And the only way for me to relax is not to listen to which I can, but I don't want to listen to Audible all the time. I want to get back into reading, and I want to be able to cozy up somewhere. I'm going to find myself a little cozy spot where I can sit down and read, and that's what I'm going to read. So I'm also going to start doing once, maybe twice a month, a book that I've read, just review it for you, either that I've read or listen to it on Audible. And there's a lot of criteria that I'm going to go over with you. If it was on Audible, I will tell you who read it. If I liked how they sounded when they were reading it, how their expressions were, if they matched the storyline. I'll tell you a little bit about the book, of course. And I'll also kind of share with you who are my favorite people to listen to on Audible that read. And I have one that I absolutely love. And actually there's two. And yeah, so I thought I would do that. And there's ways that you can search books by the person who's reading the book. And sometimes I do that to see what else has she done or he's done or whatever. So that's my plan for the month of December. I have always been an avid reader. My first book was Laura Ingalls. That's That's what it was. Little House on the Prairie. And guys, I was hooked. I had never read anything to that point. I think I was like 10, 11. I had never really sat down and picked up a book. My mom later in life became a very prolific reader, not prolific. She would read, um, but not to the extent that I read. My dad was not a reader. I don't know that my brothers and sisters were readers at that point. Now, Martha came along so far. She's 19 years younger than me. So she's my youngest sister. So I was not there when she was reading, but I know she read a lot. So I didn't, what I'm trying to say is I didn't grow up around a lot of readers. So for me, it was kind of odd. But you didn't see me without a book from about 10 years old on forward. And my mom and dad did support me in reading. It wasn't that they didn't. She would take me to the library. When I got older, we had our first used bookstore. And I'm going to tell you, I probably have never told you the name of the city that I grew up in. It's a little city in the mid part of the state, and it is called, I'm going to get a lot of laughs. The city is called Fuquay Varina. Guys, this small. It's a lot bigger now because it's now become like a suburb of Raleigh and Cary and Durham in that area, so the middle part of the state. But we thought we were something when we got a used book. I thought we were something when we got a used bookstore, and I could walk to the bookstore because we were like 1 block over and 3 blocks up was where the bookstore was. So I could walk, and I could get 3 or 4 books for $1. I was so excited. I have to remember too, guys, paperback books back then were like $3 or $4 a book. My age. But that was just so exciting for me to be able to go and pick out books or buy them, or to for my mom to take me to the library. And then once I got older, I mean, guys, it was a small town, and it wasn't that far for me to walk to the library. And I would walk to the library, pick up books, and come back and take them back, especially during the summers. It was very easy for me to do that. And I bonded with the lifeguard at the pool that we went to because she read and I read. So when she was on her breaks, she would read. Or if there was 2 lifeguards there, it was a very small pool. And it was really busy if there was like 20 people there. It was never that during the week. So she would sit and read and, watch the pool. And we kind of bonded. And she got me to reading things beyond what I thought I would read. And I thank the world of her. She has passed away, and she was just a wonderful person. And her name was Kathy Carlisle. And I just absolutely loved her. She was just a few years older than me. She was probably in her 20s, and I was probably 14, 13. But she got me to spread my wings and to move into other books that I never thought I would have read. She was the reason I loved Sidney Shelton. Absolutely loved his books. Loved his books. But I have always been a reader. And so I have found that over this many years, I might have a couple of months that I don't read anything, but this break that I have had from reading has lasted probably 2 years. And I have picked up my book and I have read a couple of books. That was it. And then I'd go right back to Audible. And so for me to have sat down this week and read 9 books, and I don't see me stopping. And that has just really, that's why I'm making this this video today is because I'm so excited that I am back into reading books. I know I can't take all the books with me that I would love to buy. And I debated on buying the 2 that I bought this week because I was like, Wendy, where are you going to carry those at? You're going to be limited what you can carry. So knowing that I'm going to be limited, I'm not going to be buying books. That was very, very difficult for me when Iron Flame and Fourth Wing came out. I still am holding myself back from going to go buy a physical copy of the books because I just absolutely loved those books. I'm not going to review those books on this channel unless you request it, because I feel like there's so many people out there who have been reviewing these books, and they are the hype. They are good. Just saying. But I like to read a couple of authors. I'm going to read. It doesn't matter what they write. I'm going to read it. Period. End of story. I'm going to read it. But there are some people that I see a book in the bookstore when I'm out, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. And I will take a picture of the book and order it on Kindle. And then if they have more that, if I like it, then I'm going to go back and read everything they wrote. Sometimes somebody on YouTube or Instagram will post a book, and I'll be like, oh, that's an interesting cover. And I will buy a lot of books based on the cover, guys. I don't know what it is. It might not even be anything I like. The other thing is that you don't know about me is once I start reading it, gotta finish it. There has only been a handful, less than 5, that I started and didn't finish. Some of those 5, some of books I started, didn't finish, went back and reread it and loved it. One of those was The Prince of Tides. I was like, this is not for me. Not for me. Then the movie was coming out, and I was like, maybe that book was better than what I thought it was. And when I picked it up the second time, couldn't put it down. I don't know why. But sometimes I can start a book, not like it, not read it, and then leave it sitting, go back and pick it up, and I'm good. So sometimes I'm just not in the mindset that I want to read it. I got off track. So my book reviews that I want to do are the books that I'm reading that I really don't hear a lot of people talk about. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. But I want to read those books. Those are the books that I want to read, and I want to review them for you, because the big authors get all the hype. And there are some authors out there that are just starting, that are producing really good books that are really good, and nobody's really talking about them. My friend from work, her name is Liz, and I love Liz. We both were big readers, and she kept telling me about this series of books, and I was like, that's not for me. I don't think I want to read those books. And so I didn't read them, and she would talk about it. And then the next one came in, and she was like, oh gosh, girl, you got to read these books. These are so good. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm into, creatures and witches and vampires all in one book. Just didn't sound interesting to me. And if y'all have read these series of books, you know what I'm talking about. So I was at my desk, and I listened to the podcast, What to Read Next. And I love that podcast, and I get a lot of book recommendations from that podcast. So the premise is that she interviews somebody, and they tell her about 3 books they like. Doesn't have to be their favorite, just 3 books that they liked, and 1 book they didn't like. So once they get through the likes and the dislike, she will give them 3 books that she thinks, based on their likes, 3 books that she thinks that they will like. So for me, that was an opportunity that I could try 7 books every time there's a podcast. And so if there's something that just keeps repeating, I'm like, that's got to be good. So she kept saying, okay, you've got to read A Discovery of Witches. I don't know. She kept right on. And I was like, I'm going to try this book. So I wrote it down. And she said there's 3 in a series. Well, she had me at series because I love a single standalone book. Love them. But if you make a series out of it and those characters are going to continue, you got me. I am going to read it because I want to know about every character in the book. So I wrote it down. I went home and I read took me like, these are long books. Took me about 3 days to read this book. I came back to work and I had started the second one, and I looked at my friend Liz and I said, girl, I have a book for you. And she was like, what is it? And I told her, and she bursted out laughing, and she said, I've been trying for 2 years to get you to read this book. And I was like, no. And she said, yes. And she started telling, I was like, this is this book. So anyway, that's our running joke. So I've read the 4 of the books of that series that's come out. I know the author, it escapes me at this moment in time. I could have told you her name, but anyway, she is coming out with the 4th one in the series. It should be coming out hopefully within the next year. I know they're working on the cover. She got really sick. She had cancer, and so writing kind of was not at the top of her forefront. It was getting healthy. She was still writing, but she had to get healthy. So I'm so excited to get that next book. But sometimes you have to hit me over the head to get me to read something. And then all of a sudden I start reading it and I love it. One example, and I don't know who wrote it off the top of my head, but another book she kept recommending was A Light We Cannot See. I did not think it was my cup of tea. And I wrote it down and I didn't read it for a long time. It was a wonderful book. Loved it. And then on my list was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. After those 2 books, I had to give it a break because the last one, The Nightingales, guys, I cried. I would read it and cry. Oh my gosh. Just, it was such a good book. But I just get in a mind space sometimes that I feel like it's just not the book that I want to read. And then I'll pick up a book and think, oh yeah, this is right up my alley. And it's truly not. From a very young, I would say youngish age, probably upper teens into my 20s, somewhere along there, maybe even into my 30s, I picked up a Patricia Cornwell book series, and I could not put her books down. Love them. And I got all the way, I don't know how far into the series, and something in my head just turned off, and I was like, I don't like the style that she's doing now. There was some things that happened that just turned me off. And so part of me wants to go back and reread that whole series. And then her name is on the tip of my tongue. It's an FBI series, Savage and Sherlock. Um, love, love, love that series. So there's a lot of the Prey series. Um, Jack Reacher. I mean, there's so many series out there that I have just, once I realized that that's what I craved the most, was I didn't want the story to end, and so I wanted it to move on. That's when I figured out I liked series, books of that's in a series. So I do read a lot of those, but I do love the standalone books and things like that. So all of this rambling to say 30 books this month. I'm going to read a book every day, and I'm going to hit that 50 goal. We're going to set a goal for next year, and I'm going to make it very aggressive for next year. And I think I'm going to do 100 books and see how many I can get read, and hope that I can read more than 100. And I'm going to try to cut back. I've been doing about 200 books on Audible, listening to 200 books on Audible. And I'm going to cut that back to 100, I think. I don't think I need to listen as much as I do right now. Currently, I am listening to Six of Crows. Not sure how I feel about this book yet. We'll see. I mean, it's entertaining, and it was recommended by Christopher's girlfriend, Emma, and she loved it. There's parts of it I really loved, and I feel like it just took a long time for me to get to the scope of her character development. And I think because the characters are developing as we move, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I will read something else of her books. Some more of her books is Lee. It escapes me her last name. Paduk. I don't know. But anyway, the book is really good, and that's what I'm listening to right now on Audible. I'm just not sure that it's my cup of tea. But I am going to give her a try on some of her other books. I have seen another one of her books that has been highly hyped. And so I'm going to read that one or listen to it. I haven't decided yet. But I'm trying to spread my wings, because I'm going to tell you, if there are certain authors, J.D. Robb and Nora Roberts, which is the same person, I'm going to read it. Hands down, I'm going to read it. There are a few others, Lee Child, who writes the John Sanford. I'm going to read them. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about them. I'm going to read it, period. And so I don't want to just stick to the same authors and do a review of the same ones all the time. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going to expand my repertoire of books, the genres that I read, and then I'm going to try to do some reviews. Now, if I do an Audible review, it's going to be based on all of the things I gave you before. The author, not the author, but the person who's presenting the book, how they present it, their voice, as far as there are some people that start reading and I'm like, can't do it. And then I can listen to them on another book and it's fine. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to do that if their expressions meet the book, because a lot of times I've already read the book, and then to have already read the book and then the way they express it is I had one book that I was listening to that I had read, so I knew the names of the characters, and this one person, she kept changing how she pronounced the person's name. That drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And I'm talking like she would say the person's name in this sentence, and they blah, 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 and this person said, and she would change the name pronunciation of the name. I mean, within two sentences. That drove me nuts. It's little things like that. And another thing that drives me nuts, and I will tell you, is if I'm reading a book and there is an error in the book. I'm not talking that the author changed an eye color or something like that. I'm not going to pick up on that. Really, I'm not. But if you are writing the book and your sentence is I'm trying to think of something because I found it in this book that I'm reading. They were supposed to I can't even give you an example, but in your phrasing, you leave a word out. Instead of saying, where are they going? And you said, where we're going. That drives me crazy. I will reread that sentence like 3 times to be like, wait a minute. Am I just reading this wrong? That drives me crazy. I don't know why. And then I know what the sentence is supposed to be. And I'm like, I know you have proofreaders and they're, what are they doing? Are they skimming the book? I want to be a proofreader. But anyway, that kind of thing drives me nuts. And so I will let you know if the proofreading was good or not. I'm not going to pick out every little thing. But I also have a series of books that I read that it's the J.D. Robbins series, In-Depth series, that I love the idioms that Nora Roberts has put in. It's written by J.D. Robb, which is Nora Roberts. But the character Eve will say these off-the-wall things like, it's just, different sayings that you say, like, why is it nothing comes to your mind when you're trying to talk? But time flies when you're having fun. And she will mess it up every time. And she will be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Time flies, time can't fly, things like that. And I love them because you would have to know the whole dynamics of her situation. So read the books. I'm telling you, read the series. They're so awesome. But I love to highlight in my Kindle those things. And I will tell you too, I'm a book rereader. If there's nothing out there that I can find that I want to read, I mean, there's only millions of books out there. But if I'm struggling to find something I want to read or listen to, I'll just go back and re-listen to a book that I know I like, and I'll reread the book. Discovery of Witches, for example, I have read the books at least 3 times, all of them. I have listened to them on Audible probably 4 or 5 times. I have watched the miniseries or the series. I'm just a rereader. What can I say? So I'm hoping I can come up with some books that are good and you've not heard of them that will, encourage you to read. So guys, this has been a long and rambling video. It's long. I know it. I'll try to cut some of it out. But these are the things that have been on my mind that I want to do, and we'll see how it goes. So I did get a little bit of journaling in there, and this is part of my book journaling. I have never had a to be read list ever. I might go to the bookstore when I bought physical books and buy 4 or 5 books because I knew in 2 weeks they would be read. But I've never set up a to be read list. I have a to be read list. Mm-hmm. So I will be updating my book journal and using it again because there are a lot of books that I have, marked in my Instagram feed that I've been at the bookstore and I've taken a picture of the cover so I don't forget, because your girl is going to forget. I will. So I have learned to take a picture of something that I don't want to forget wherever I'm at. So hopefully I'm going to bring you some books, guys. So I hope you will stick around for it. I hope you have fun with this. And if you're not a reader, I get it. I get it. But guys, stick around with me. If you're new to my channel, guys, welcome. Hit that bell and the notification or subscribe button and stick around with me. And for everybody that's been with me through this adventure, thank you so much for sticking around with me. And there's going to be more stuff to come. So guys, until next time, bye-bye.